This is QTV News, and I am Mamudu Kajaga. Our top stories. Debate on the budget estimate for 2019 continues at the National Assembly chambers in Banjul. The people of Jara West say they want the position of Chief Justice to be reserved for Gambians only. Volnet Gambia commemorates International Day on the theme Volunteers Building Resilience. Those are our top stories, and now the news in detail. The Office of the President informs the public that portfolio of religious affairs under the Office of the President has been transferred to the Ministry of Lands and Regional Affairs with immediate effect from 27 November 2018. Debate on the draft budget estimate for 2019 continues at the National Assembly chambers in Banjul. The $25.8 billion estimate was laid before lawmakers last week by Finance Minister Mamborin Njai. QTV's Aliou Cissé was following the day-long deliberation, and he now tells us more.
The debate on the 2019 budget estimate continues on Tuesday at the National Assembly chamber in Banjul. Business at the Parliament commenced with the adoption of the minutes of Monday sittings by lawmakers. The total revenue and grants in 2019 is projected at $25 billion, according to the Finance Minister Mamborin Njai. This, he told lawmakers last week, represents an increment of 27% over 2018 figure of $19 billion. The increment, according to him, is mainly attributed to changes in user charges and fees of government services, coupled with performance in project grants and budget. The project grants are estimated to increase from $8.2 billion in 2018 to $9.9 billion in 2019. He added that there's a budget support to the tune of $3.4 billion expected to come from development partners, mainly the European Union and the World Bank. In presenting the estimate budget last week, Minister Njai informed lawmakers that the total expenditure on net lending is projected to increase from $20 billion in 2018 to $28 billion in 2019, representing an increase of 38%, the bulk of which is attributed to the development budget, which is primarily financed by the country's development partners. In continuing the debate on Tuesday, Honorable Dauda Kausu Jawara, member for Upper Florida West, emphasized the importance of National Assembly in having strong institutions. Honorable Jawara was concerned by the deduction of $2 million from the National Assembly budget. For Honorable Ayesila of Nani constituency, the issue of salary increment is a welcome one. However, he says the 50% increment has little impact, as high-income earners will continue to earn more than low-income earners. Honorable Musa Amul Nyasi of Fanyi Councillor constituency raised concern over the creation of what he calls unnecessary portfolios within the government, citing the example of advisors. According to him, there's duplication of roles considering the work of some of the advisors.
I am with the view that it's a duplication of efforts, and a lot of money is being invested on the payment of the security advisor to the president. So for me, if both are to run, then it's better one is nullified, because we need funds diverted to more meaningful projects that will touch the life of the average Gambians.
Honorable Muhammad Mahanera of Sandu constituency wants to see an equal pay for lawmakers, members of the judiciary and cabinet. He suggests for NAMS to be provided with personal aides who will help ease their work. For Honorable Abdullah Sister of All Yundum, women should be empowered, while welcoming the idea of creating a new ministry for women and children. In his words, the issue of children has not been given the attention it deserves. The member for Kiang East, Honorable Yaya Gassama, calls for an increment in the subvention allocated to the Gambia College, University of the Gambia, Management Development Institute MDI, and the Gambia Technical Training Institute GTTI. Honorable Sidia Jata of Woolley constituency calls for more investment in the agriculture sector. He added that there is also the need for complete overhaul of the salary structure and scale.
We should have radically changed and restructured our economy. But we inherited it, granule production, and now granule has become a liability. And that is supposedly the pillar of our economy, but it is not.
From security, education, water resources, youth and sports to foreign services, lawmakers raised their concerns, observations and questions in relation to the draft estimate budget. Responding to issues raised by the MPs, Finance Minister Mamborin Njai says the draft budget estimate is directly linked to the National Development Plan.
The question on the net domestic borrowing for 2019 is budgeted at 1.3% of GDP. And this up to end November, the target is $3 billion, but we've been able to manage about $2 billion for the time being. This is really with very strict austerity measures that we are taking at the level of the ministry.
Sittings resume on Wednesday at 10 a.m. Reporting for QTV News from the National Assembly in Banjul, I am Aliou Cissé.
The people of Jara West say they want the position of Chief Justice to be reserved for Gambians only. They made this submission at the CRC public consultation meeting held in Pakalinding village. QTV's Ansumana Esonyasi is in LRR and he now reports.
Led by Commissioner Janet Salanjai, officials of the Constitutional Review Commission today held a consultation meeting in Pakalinding as part of the Commission's ongoing public engagement exercise. The meeting is the third convergence organized by the CRC in Lower River Region. Speaking on behalf of the elders of the village, Sefo Boakinte said the people of Pakalinding are proud to associate themselves with the process of drafting a new constitution for the Gambia. Various issues were raised by commissioners regarding possible areas that need titrating or have not been captured in the 1997 constitution. But majority were more interested in discussing about the Chief Justice. They want provisions that will reserve the position of Chief Justice for Gambian citizens only. They also want the institutionalization of an establishment that will be responsible for the appointment of the Chief Justice with the approval of Parliament. Speaking at the meeting, Adama Dabo said the office of the Chief Justice should be reserved for only Gambians. I want the Chief Justice to be a Gambian. We can't have foreigners overseeing our legal departments. And the President shouldn't be given the right to appoint the Chief Justice. There should be a special committee responsible for the appointment of the Chief Justice, not the President. Yes, that is what I want. For Modu Cisse, provisions should be made in the new constitution that will give only Gambian citizens the right to occupy the office of the Chief Justice. Our laws and judicial service should be led by Gambians, and Gambians only. That is what I also want. We have had many experiences in the past, but it seems we are not paying much attention. This is a rare opportunity, so we must make our voices heard. We don't want any foreign Chief Justice. Yes, never again. Youth leader Boa Dabo said the Chief Justice plays an important role in strengthening democracy in a country, and as such, Gambia can't afford to appoint foreigners in the future. About the Chief Justice, no need to ask anyone. We have witnessed what happened in the past. The former regime used to bring foreigners to lead our judicial service. We can't afford to go through the same experience. All that we want is for the position of Chief Justice to be reserved for Gambians only. We have so many Gambians who can run the office of the Chief Justice, so we don't need any foreigner. Reporting for QTV News from LRR, I am Ansumana Esonyasi.
The National Volunteers Network, the Gambia, VolNetGam, in collaboration with the United Nations Volunteers in the Gambia, on Wednesday commemorated International Volunteers Day at the United Nations House in Bakau under the theme Volunteers Building Resilient Communities. Omar P. Jallo reports.
The day is celebrated on the 5th of December each year in recognition of the contribution of volunteers worldwide. In her opening statement, the UN Volunteers representative in the Gambia, Ms. Bintu Mahfouz Aidara, said as part of activities marking this year's day celebrations, volunteers embark on a massive cleansing exercise and community sensitization at Ndagon and its surrounding at Old Joshua. The event, she said, attracted hundreds of volunteers from the community and from organizations such as Green Up Gambia, Gambia Red Cross Society, and Fortress of Development. They further conducted an educative and well-organized sensitization for the participants on environmental protection.
Volunteers work round the clock and in every corner of the globe to build resilient communities. It is interesting to note that it is estimated that there are over 109 million volunteers globally, 70% of whom are informal, meaning maybe they do it on their own, formally engaged to do so, and the remaining 30% form the formal group. 59% of this total of 109 million volunteers happen to be female. And I therefore like to take this opportunity to salute all of us, particularly our female colleague volunteers, for not being left behind in the quest to implement the Sustainable Development Goals in enhancing gender equality.
Mrs. Sandra Latoff of UNICEF delivered a statement on behalf of the UN Resident Coordinator in the Gambia in recognition of the contribution of volunteers worldwide. She also awarded certificates to outstanding individual volunteers and communities in the Gambia.
There are approximately 1 billion volunteers across the globe who dedicate their time, skill, patience to make the world a better place. They are often the first to act in moments of crisis. They create social bonds and give a voice to the marginalized and vulnerable groups. And the theme of this year's observance highly that they help to build resilient community, equip people against natural disaster, political instability, economic shock, and other pressure.
She said the United Nations volunteers, in collaboration with the National Volunteer Network in the Gambia, adopted a diverse approach to mobilize volunteers and facilitate volunteering in the Gambia for national development. A visually challenged volunteer, Yuspa Jaite, has this to say.
Many attitudinal barriers that people with disability continue to face in the Gambia and around the world, which definitely range from how people perceive them, the misconceptions that people have towards people with visually impairment or people with disability, that somebody who lost his sight or has some challenge with impairment cannot make it in life. That is something that is absolutely false. There are many things people with disability can do in this country and around the world, and we have today seen it. People with disability are now in various sectors of life contributing immensely towards national development.
The National Volunteers Network in the Gambia is a platform that brings volunteers in the Gambia to be an effective and functional national volunteerism infrastructure harness for national development. Omar P. Jallo, reporting for QTV News.
Before we end this bulletin, we recap our main stories. The people of Jara West say they want the position of Chief Justice to be reserved for Gambians only. They made this submission at the CRC public consultation meeting held in Pakalinding. The National Volunteers Network, the Gambia, Volgam, in collaboration with the United Nations Volunteers in the Gambia, on Wednesday commemorated International Volunteers Day at the United Nations House in Bakau, under the theme Volunteers Building Resilient Communities. That's all we have for you in this edition of the news. Join us tomorrow for more news.